When you hear the BRCA gene, right, what is the first thing that comes to mind? For most of it's cancer, right? Breast cancer, ovarian cancer. It's a word loaded with fear and uncertainty. But what if I told you the BRCA gene isn't a cancer gene at all? What if its real job is to be one of your body's most powerful protectors? That's right. The BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes are not your enemies. Okay, they are essential players in a constant microscopic battle happening inside each and every one of your cells every single day. They are the guardians of your genetic code, right? The master mechanics of your DNA, if you will. And understanding their true purpose is the first step to understanding why sometimes things go wrong. So in this video, we're going to go beyond the headlines and explore the fascinating biochemistry of the BRCA genes. We'll discover what they actually do, what happens when they're mutated, and how a new perspective on the body's internal environment is changing the conversation from one of destiny to one of resilience. So imagine your city is like a bustling, or your body is a bustling city, and your DNA is the master blueprint to everything in it. It contains the instructions for building every protein, every cell, every tissue. Now imagine that precious blueprint is under constant assault. Every single day, your DNA is damaged thousands of times. It's not just from obvious things like too much sun or too much smoking. The actual everyday act of living, of turning food into energy, creates byproducts called free radicals. These tiny, out of control sparks can fly around and break down your DNA strands. The most dangerous type of damage is called a double strand break. This is when both sides of the DNA ladder snap completely. If you don't fix this, it's like a corrupted file in a computer program, right? The cells can start to misread its instructions, leading to mutations. And an accumulation of mutations is the first step on the road to cancer. So with all of this damage happening, why don't we all get cancer, right? Because your body has a brilliant built-in repair crew. Amazing, right? So, and this is where our heroes, BRCA1 and BRCA2 proteins, enter the story. They're the supervisors of a high-fidelity repair process called homologous recombination. It's the most accurate way for a cell to fix a double-stranded break, and it's a beautiful piece of biological engineering. So here's how it works. When a double-stranded break occurs, the BRCA proteins are among the first responders. BRCA1 acts like a project manager and a signaling hub. It recognizes the damage and coordinates the arrival of the repair proteins. BRCA2, on the other hand, has a very hands-on role. It directly binds to another key protein called RAD51 and loads onto the damaged DNA, forming a filament that is essential for the search and repair process. All right, so think of it like this. You have a torn page in a priceless book. Homologous recombination is like finding the identical, undamaged page in a second copy of that book, photocopying it, and using it to perfectly restore the torn page. No guesswork, no patches, just a clean, accurate repair. That's what BRCA proteins are doing. They help to orchestrate and to keep your genome stable and free from errors. So if the BRCA proteins are good, and they're really, really good at their jobs, what happens if you have a mutation? A harmful mutation means that the protein isn't made correctly, or it doesn't function as it should. It's like your master repair crew suddenly gets fired and you get a bunch of yo-yos coming in to do the work of like a very refined crew. The cell still knows it has a dangerous double-stranded break and it panics. It can't leave the break unrepaired, so it switches to a backup system. This is a faster but much sloppier process, and it's called a non-homologous end joining, or NHEG. You don't have to remember all of these acronyms, but I want to give you the words so that you can look things up on your own if you want to do some more research. So these are the things that you're looking for. If a homologous recombination is like perfectly restoring a torn page, a non-homologous end joining is like just taping the broken pieces of the page back together. It gets the job done. The DNA is no longer in two pieces, but it's not a clean fix. Okay, it's not the same thing at all. Small bits of the genetic code can be lost, right? Or the ends can be stuck together incorrectly. These are mutations. One or two of these sloppy repairs might not cause a problem, but it's in a cell with a faulty BRCA gene. This error-prone repair happens over and over again. With every cell division, the number of mutation grows, and it's like a snowball effect of genomic instability. Eventually, a critical gene that controls cell growth might get hit, and that's when a normal cell can take its first step towards becoming a cancer cell. So for a long time, the story of BRCA mutations was seen as a matter of bad luck. But what if that's not the whole story? What if there's a different perspective? So there's biochemists out there that are reframing the entire conversation based on decades and decades of research that has been done. And there's a view that suggests that the BRCA mutation is like having a less skilled repair crew. But whether that leads to a disaster depends on the conditions of the work site, right? So think of it this way. You can have a great repair crew and they can handle a lot of damage. But if you have a less skilled crew, the amount of damage they can handle is much lower. The same is true in our cells. So a BRCA mutation lowers your DNA repair capacity, but the actual risk depends on the amount of DNA damage that needs repairing in the first place and the overall health of the cell. So from this biochemical lens, several factors become critically important. One, oxidative stress. And this is where you can make a difference in your biochemical environment. So oxidative stress, this gets dismissed a lot as just something that happens in the body and it has no great consequence, but that is the wrong approach to take it. Oxidative stress, they're free radical sparks. The more you have of them, the more DNA breaks occur. So a diet high in processed food, exposure to toxins, chronic inflammation, all of these things lead to oxidative stress, creating more work for an already compromised BRCA repair crew. Plasmalogen levels. Now, this might be a new word for many, even your doctor or your oncologist, but it's incredibly important. Plasmalogens are special lipids that are a key part of our cell membrane. They're also powerful antioxidants acting as the first line of defense. They can sacrifice themselves to neutralize free radicals before they even reach the DNA. If your plasmalogen levels are low, your DNA is more exposed and vulnerable to attack. Mitochondrial health. DNA repair is an energy-intensive process. It requires a lot of ATP. That's your energy currency of your cells, and that's produced in your mitochondria. If the mitochondria are unhealthy and they can't produce enough energy, the DNA repair process, even the backup systems, will be slow and inefficient. Apoptosis signaling. What does that mean? So that is a healthy cell. It has a self-destruct button, right? Like it can commit suicide. It's a process called apoptosis. It's just a fancy word for cell suicide. If a cell's DNA is too damaged to be repaired, it's supposed to kill itself. It's supposed to eliminate itself for the greater good. But if the signaling is weak, these highly damaged, unstable cells can linger, continue to divide, and become cancerous. Apoptosis is something that you want to clear the body out of. We call them zombie cells, right? So what does this all mean? It means that while you can't change your genes, you may be able to change the environment in which they operate. A BRCA mutation doesn't have to be a predetermined sentence. It's a genetic vulnerability, but it's just one piece of a larger interconnected puzzle. The biochemistry of BRCA is about repair, right? A mutation means that the repair is weaker, but whether the weakness translates into disease depends on the strength of the rest of the system. That's why the conversation is shifting towards building biochemical resilience by lowering oxidative stress through a healthy diet and lifestyle, by ensuring our bodies have enough protective resources like plasmalogens, and by supporting our mitochondrial health to power our internal environment or to power our cellular machinery. And by ensuring our quality control systems are working, we can create an internal environment that is far less likely to let a genetic weakness turn into a full-blown disease. So the story of BRCA is not about cancer. It's a story about the incredible, dynamic, resilient systems that keep us healthy. It's a reminder that our bodies are not just a collection of genes, but it is a complex and beautiful biochemical network. And by understanding and supporting the network, you can empower ourselves to build a healthier future, no matter what your genes say.